How sweep it is. The New York Yankees get a 4-3 victory on Wednesday night against the Kansas City Royals to complete the home sweep leading into their 7-game road trip. They were led by a really solid start, some inconsistencies, but a solid first start of the season for Clarke Schmidt, who went 5 2/3 innings in this game. A sterling performance from Mark Leiter Jr. and Fernando Cruz out of the bullpen. They got some runs early, but the game winner came off the bat of Aaron Judge in the 7th inning. He hit his 7th home run of the year to give the Yankees a 4-3 lead they would never relinquish, and the game ended with a beautiful diving catch in right field by Cody Bellinger to save the game. He doesn't make that catch. The Royals tie the game and have a chance to take the lead in the top of the 9th inning. But he was able to end the game with a sensational play in right field where he started today with Jason Dominguez in left, Trent Grisham in center, and Aaron Judge, the designated hitter. Let's start with Clarke Schmidt. That was the guy we've been waiting to see all season long. A little bit up and down, but there was a lot good. The first inning was a little shaky for him. I thought he didn't have the correct spin on a lot of his breaking balls, and for those of you that have watched Clarke Schmidt before, he doesn't have that traditional fastball. He has a cut fastball, he's got a sinker, but he uses a knuckle curve, and he uses a lot of different pitches with movement. He doesn't have a traditional 4-seam, 2-seam fastball that you see from a lot of pitchers. So you need him to be in a spot where he can get the movement needed on those pitches to hit the corners, and he didn't quite have that in the first inning. And the Royals were able to kind of get a little bit of a jump on him and take an early lead in this game. Then he was absolutely dominant. Had a stretch where he sat down 11 straight Royals, was dominant in those middle innings. Ran into a little bit of trouble there in the 5th until they eventually got taken out, allowed a couple more runs. But overall, I thought it was a very solid outing for him so far. He looked the part of the guy that he was last year in his 16 starts when he had that sub-3 ERA. So this is exactly what you wanted out of his first start. Could it have gone a little bit better? Sure, it could have. But you know what? It could have gone a whole lot worse. And I think for his first start back, a lot of positive here. And, allowing just 6 base runners in this game. And then, look, the bullpen continued to be super solid. Mark Leiter, who aside from that game early in the season where he got hit around, has been really, really big for them. And they have trusted him in big moments all season long. And it's funny thinking about going back to last postseason and thinking about the innings and the big outs that they got from Mark Leiter in their path to the World Series, and how you really didn't expect that coming into the postseason. And you got that, and he's carried that play over into this season. And then the first career save for Fernando Cruz. 2 innings. He gets the final 2 innings of this game with Luke Weaver and Devin Williams both unavailable. 1 hit, 1 walk, 2 strikeouts. Again, things in the 9th got a little bit of a white knuckle ride in the 9th. Took a nice, great play out in right field from Cody Bellinger to seal things. But Cruz gets his first save of the year. The Yankees get their sweep, and they will move on to go play in their spring training facility as the road team, which is going to be really interesting as they head out to Tampa for a 4-game series. But aside from Clarke Schmidt, the big takeaway here, Aaron Judge continues to be Aaron Judge. 3 for 3. He was intentionally walked in this game. He hits a homer. He is now hitting .409 with a 1322 OPS. That pause was for dramatic effect. He is killing the ball right now, and had a stretch there with a homerless stretch where he was only just hitting like 450, but he breaks that homerless stretch here and puts himself and the Yankees in a position to win this game where their bullpen can close it out. And as you look at what this team did in this series, this was really big. You're now 11-7, but you started this 8-7. You lost 2 series in a row, and you're facing a solid Kansas City team. I know Kansas City's now dropped 3 games below 500 because they lost all 3 of these games, but this was a playoff team last year. This is a team that could very well be a playoff team again this year. And you saw flashes of it. Their rotation pitched pretty well. Bobby Witt Jr. looks like a star. because he is a star. And so this was a really big series for the Yankees before they head out on the road here to kind of get that confidence back. We were not feeling great before these last 3 games about where the Yankees stood in the moment. And the combination of Max Fried, Carlos Carrasco, and then the returning Clarke Schmidt here really set things up well for the Yankees before they head out on the road in Tampa, and that starts tomorrow. There is no off day between series, so 7:05 p.m. Eastern, it's another Amazon Prime game. Will Warren will take the mound coming off of his last very solid start up against Taj Bradley. Game 2 of the series will feature Carlos Rodon coming off of, well, what looked like to be one of his best starts of the season before things absolutely fell off the rails. He'll be going up against Drew Rasmussen. In the second game, Game 3 will feature Carlos Carrasco, definitely coming off his best start of the year against Shane Baz, who's been really, really good so far this year. And then in the series finale, Max Fried will take the mound again against Ryan Pepio. So that is the 4-game series for the Yankees against Tampa Bay as they continue to put themselves in a scenario where they can try to make some space here in the AL East. They're going to end the night a half game up in the division, but everybody is within 3.5 games right now, as to be expected. It is April 17th. It's not like you're going to get much separation here, but the Rays are a team that you might, again, just want to start putting some separation. The games now count the same as the games in September. So you want to start putting some separation between these teams and also continue to build on this momentum. You won 3 in a row. I don't expect you're going to go win all 4 in Tampa, but can you take 3 or 4? Especially since one of the games you can have your ace on the mound. I think it's very doable. So we'll see if they're able to do that. And some other Yankees news here before we get into the series. Luis Gil was supposed to go on a rehab assignment soon, or begin throwing soon. They have pushed him back 10 days. I believe from what I read, they did an MRI and they just want a little bit more healing before he starts throwing again. So this is a guy that is also going to be a huge, huge lift to the Yankees rotation when he comes back. But they're going to be cautious with him. They're going to be careful. And as we've talked about on this podcast, I think anything before Memorial Day would have been a bonus anyway. June probably seems more likely in terms of his potential return to the rotation. But he's going to be a big lift when they get back as well. Clarke Schmidt showed today last night, how big of a lift that could have, adding a player of that caliber to this rotation can be. I still fully expect this team to be very active in the starting pitcher market when that begins to heat up a little bit later in the calendar. But overall, this is a really interesting Yankees team this year because they are winning and they're having success in ways that are markedly different than they were last year. This is actually one of the best defensive teams in baseball right now. And obviously, you punctuate the night with Cody Bellinger's great play in right field is a good way to kind of bring up and start this conversation. But you have seen it throughout the year that, Paul Goldschmidt's playing Gold Glove caliber first base right now. Jazz Chisholm at second base has played really well. And, as much as I know he was a fan favorite for a while there, defensively is a massive upgrade over Gleyber Torres. Anthony Volpe is a Gold Glove candidate at shortstop every single year. You look at what Austin Wells has been able to do behind the plate, particularly from, he threw out a runner tonight, but obviously from a pitch framing standpoint, if you consider that part of team defense, that has been huge for them as well. Trent Grisham in center field again, he might play enough this year to get serious Gold Glove consideration. Cody Bellinger's been really good both in center and in the corner outfield when moved. And oh, by the way, guess who came into this game as the American League leader in defensive runs saved in left field? It was Jason Dominguez. So for all, I know, small sample size, I get it. I don't want to go nuts here this early in the season. We're not even a month's worth of games in yet. However, if they just get league average defense from Jason Dominguez in left field, that will be a humongous win. And he is providing well above that through the first 3 weeks of the season. I just think that's really encouraging. So this is a team that is playing very well defensively. Their bullpen, for the most part, has been locked down. They have had some struggles at times. We talked early in the season about the home runs they gave up when they had big leads. You gave up 2 grand slams and a 3-run home run in a stretch. I'm thinking a 5 or 6 game stretch there, and you won 2 of those 3 games, but that's still not exactly what you want out of them. Devin Williams looked better recently, but had some up and down stretches earlier. But for the most part, this bullpen has pitched really, really well. Max Fried looks like a Cy Young candidate, and your defense has been fantastic. And oh, by the way, Aaron Judge somehow might be better than he was last year, which is a crazy thought right now. So you put all these pieces together, and you got a team that's won 11 of their first 18 games. But you also got a team that I think has a higher ceiling if they correct some of these other issues. If a guy like Cody Bellinger can get hot. If Jazz Chisholm can get hot again. Austin Wells has been slumping. Can he get hot again? Will the Yankees add a top or at least middle of the rotation starter via trade? When will they get a middle of the rotation starter back in Luis Gil? You've added in now a middle of the rotation starter back off injury in Clarke Schmidt. So do you add a third baseman at some time this season to kind of upgrade that bat and maybe, or even defensively? It's not that Oswaldo Cabrera is bad defensively, but he's not good enough defensively to justify what that bat gives you typically on a day-to-day basis. Ideally, if you either want an elite defender to make up for that, or you want somebody that's going to give you some more pop in the lineup, particularly against left-handed pitchers as well, where we're seeing Oswald Peraza and even earlier in the season, Pablo Reyes take at-bats away against left-handed pitching. So there is a lot of it. I'm a lot more encouraged about where the Yankees stand, not just because of the sweep, but because of the way they got the sweep, because you've now got one of your pitchers back from injury and got to see him, because the bullpen has kept things going, because the captain has kept things going, and because some of the early positive trends defensively have continued on. And so I will leave you with this as we, head into Thursday night and the series against the Rays. The Yankees are winning in a different fashion than they did last year. And they're winning in a sustainable fashion, but there's still plenty of meat on the bone. There is still plenty of downside because, look, this lineup isn't quite as good as it was last year. You're not going to fully replace Juan Soto. And I know a lot of conversations about why the Juan Soto start to the season, all this other stuff, but it's more so of there's nobody reasonable as denying the talent that Juan Soto is. But the Yankees as a team, at least say, we can't include the rotation because Garrett Cole's hurt. So, all the injuries to the rotation, you have to take that part out of the equation. But if we're going to put the rest of the team, the bullpen, the offense, the defense, and you put all of it together and mold it like a piece of clay, there is more there than what the Yankees had last year. Their big Achilles heel now is a banged-up rotation that's getting healthier. Their big issue now is, can they get those guys back, or can they add pieces to that? Because the other peripheral parts of this team that were not good last year have become strengths. And we're seeing it early in the season, and it is the biggest reason why they're 4 games above 500 through the first 6 series of the season. But it's also the biggest reason why they still have some work to do in order to get themselves into true, we're going to win this division contention. They're atop the division now, but there's more they're going to need to do and more they're going to need to add to this team to get there. But so far, so good. And it's encouraging to see some of the things like defense and the bullpen playing so well, because those are things that can translate over the course of the season. And I think the issues that they have elsewhere are either correctable, a matter of time to fix, or just a trade away. We'll see what the Yankees end up doing with that. But first, we see what they end up doing at George Steinbrenner Field as visitors against the Tampa Bay Rays.